Imagine this. Every time you scroll your phone, check a notification, or watch one more just for fun video, your brain lights up like a slot machine. That tiny surge of pleasure makes you feel alive momentarily. But here's the unsettling truth. The very chemical that makes life feel exciting, dopamine, might be quietly hijacking your mind and ruining your motivation, your focus, and even your sense of meaning. Ask yourself, who is in control here, you or your brain's relentless craving for dopamine hits? You've probably felt it before. The endless scroll, the binge watch, the compulsive check of your phone, even when you swore you'd just do it once. Or maybe it's constant snacking, mindless YouTube surfing, or refreshing social media for the 100th time today. It seems harmless, even pleasurable. But look closer. Those tiny bursts of dopamine are conditioning your brain. They're training you to chase short-term rewards at the expense of long-term goals. Psychologists call this reward substitution. Instead of working for delayed satisfaction writing a book, mastering a skill, building a meaningful relationship, you chase the fast hits. Your brain begins to equate effort with boredom and instant gratification with excitement. A striking example, in a 2016 study from the University of Chicago, researchers found that frequent smartphone users showed higher levels of dopamine release when anticipating notifications, but paradoxically, they reported feeling less satisfied in real life. The more you chase dopamine, the less real pleasure seems possible. And here's the kicker. This isn't just a habit problem. It's a neurological trap. Your brain is rewiring itself around cravings, and suddenly, you're not lazy or unmotivated. You're overstimulated, distracted, and trapped in your own pleasure-seeking loops. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how dopamine hijacks you, how it drives self-sabotage, and most importantly, what to do about it. Let's get into the mechanics. Dopamine isn't actually a pleasure chemical. It's a motivation chemical, a signal that tells your brain, pay attention, something important is happening. Here is the twist. It is not the reward itself that triggers dopamine, it is the anticipation. A study in Nature Neuroscience showed that rats pressed a lever more for the expectation of a reward than for the reward itself. Human brains behave the same way. Think about your own life. You scroll Instagram, anticipating a like or a comment. You check your email, waiting for a ping. You snack, expecting flavor. Your dopamine system is working overtime for the thrill of wanting, not the satisfaction of having. Real-life example. Consider Jake, a software engineer in his late 20s. He wanted to write a novel, but every time he sat down, he felt restless. The next thing he knew, 2 hours had vanished into social media, YouTube, and snacks. Jake wasn't lazy, his brain was addicted to the anticipatory hits of dopamine, and the slower, effortful satisfaction of writing felt dull in comparison. Practical takeaway. The first step to reclaiming control is dopamine awareness. Start noticing your triggers. When do you feel restless, bored, or compelled? Every urge is a signal, not a failure. Try a simple exercise. First, every time you feel the pull of instant gratification, pause. Second, ask, am I seeking this because it's truly rewarding, or because my brain craves a quick dopamine hit? Then, log it in a journal for a week. Awareness is the first step to freedom. And here is something to ponder as we move on. Dopamine doesn't just hijack your habits, it can sabotage your very goals and desires. Here's where it gets insidious. Dopamine-driven behavior can lead to what psychologists call the pleasure paradox. The more you pursue instant gratification, the more you undermine long-term happiness. Let's take the classic example of procrastination. You want to start a new project, but instead, you watch TikTok for 2 hours. Why? Because dopamine rewards novelty and immediacy, not delayed achievement. Gabor Mate, in his work on addiction, explains this beautifully. The brain craves regulation. If your environment or your habits constantly spike dopamine, your natural reward system gets desensitized. Ordinary life, reading a book, cooking a meal, completing a workout feels dull. You unconsciously sabotage these tasks, even when they matter most. Consider Sarah, a marketing manager. She was climbing the corporate ladder but constantly delayed important work. She'd binge Netflix, scroll Instagram, even reorganize her desk instead of completing key tasks. Psychologically, she was rewarding her brain's craving for immediate pleasure at the cost of her future self. Practical strategies to counteract self-sabotage. First, dopamine fasting. Schedule short periods, even 2 to 3 hours, without high stimulation activities, no phone, no social media, no video games. Notice your urges, let them pass, and reclaim control. Second, anchor tasks to intrinsic rewards. Pair challenging work with subtle pleasures. Play music you love while exercising focus, or take a mindful coffee break after completing a task. This retrains your dopamine system to appreciate delayed satisfaction. Third, micro-commitments. Break big tasks into tiny, low dopamine steps. Each small completion gives a controlled dopamine hit, keeping motivation alive without overstimulation. And as we approach the next insight, dopamine doesn't just hijack your habits, it infiltrates your subconscious patterns, shaping your identity without you noticing. Here's the empowering part. You can rewire your brain, but it requires awareness and intentional practice. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Dopamine-driven habits live in your unconscious. They feel automatic. The first step is reflection and monitoring. Exercise. The dopamine audit. Track your day for 1 week. Every time you seek instant pleasure, note the trigger, your emotion, and the outcome. Identify patterns. Do certain times, environments, or feelings consistently trigger compulsive behavior? Ask, what deeper need is behind this craving? Boredom, anxiety, avoidance. Once patterns are visible, you can replace automatic responses with conscious choices. Example: Daniel, a freelance writer, realized he checked Twitter every time he felt stuck on a paragraph. Instead of giving in, he started a simple ritual: 3 deep breaths and a 2-minute walk. Over time, the brain rewired itself. He still got dopamine, but through controlled, deliberate action. Additional strategies: reward substitution. Replace mindless dopamine hits with meaningful ones. Call a friend, create art, exercise. Scheduled novelty. The brain loves novelty. Plan controlled new experiences rather than endless random scrolling. Mindful pauses. Before engaging in a habitual dopamine spike, pause and ask, is this nourishing me or numbing me? It's not about eliminating pleasure, it's about choosing which pleasures serve your long-term growth. Let's step back. Dopamine is more than a chemical, it's a mirror. It reveals our desires, fears, and vulnerabilities. But unchecked, it also exposes a deeper truth. Modern life is designed to exploit our brains, and most of us are navigating this system unconsciously. Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." Dopamine hijacks our why, distracting us with endless hows of immediate gratification videos, notifications, snacks, likes, pings. Without a conscious why, we drift, perpetually seeking short-term pleasure. Dostoevsky explored this in Notes from Underground. The human being often acts against their own best interest, not from malice, but from the tension between desire and rationality. Dopamine intensifies this tension, making us complicit in our own procrastination, distraction, and self-sabotage. Jung reminds us, awareness transforms the unconscious into a source of strength. By observing your dopamine-driven patterns, you reclaim your autonomy. You turn fleeting pleasure into purposeful action, boredom into creativity, and desire into growth. Ask yourself, how much of your daily life is truly chosen, and how much is dictated by chemical impulses you barely notice? This reflection isn't meant to induce guilt, it's an invitation to self-mastery. So what have we uncovered? First, dopamine hijacks your attention and motivation, rewarding anticipation more than fulfillment. Second, self-sabotage is often a dopamine-driven paradox. Craving instant gratification undermines long-term happiness. Third, awareness and deliberate practice allow you to reclaim control, rewiring your brain toward meaningful reward. Actionable steps you can start today. Try a short dopamine fast, 2 to 3 hours without high-stimulation media. Keep a dopamine journal for a week to track triggers. Pair challenging tasks with intrinsic or controlled rewards. Pause before habitual behaviors and ask, is this nourishing me or numbing me? Your brain will always seek stimulation, but by noticing the patterns, you stop being a passive passenger. You reclaim your agency. You start shaping your life instead of letting dopamine shape it for you. If this resonated, share your experience in the comments. What habit is your brain hijacking right now? Subscribe for more deep psychology insights, and consider watching our next video on You Are Not Who You Think You Are.